Please be seated. Your Honor, the jury is all present and accounted for.
All right, we are back on the record in C-377-239, State without versus Devyn Michaels. In the record reflected, Ms. Michaels is present with her attorneys, Deputy District Attorney on behalf of the state. Do both parties give the presence of our jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, defense, are you prepared to give an opening statement?
We are.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Leo Tolstoy, perhaps one of the greatest authors of all time, in his first book, first novel, Anna Karenina, wrote, first sentence, all happy families are the same. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Her Honor asked whether we were going to give an opening statement. An opening statement, as Mr. Giordani had laid out, is the time for each side to stand before you and tell you what the facts are. It's our chance to give you a roadmap and explain to you what we feel the facts and ultimately the truth are. Oftentimes defense attorneys sit back and wait. Don't want to show anything. Let's see what they've got. This case, we're not doing that. We're going to get right out in front of this case and we're going to tell you what's really going on and what the state and what their investigation is missing. Initially, Mr. Giordani had said, well, buckle up, and I'm telling you, buckle up. You know, oftentimes in the intricacies and the complications of human relations, things get unsavory. Things are immoral. I'm going to be showing you things right now, not in a sense to offend you, to cast blame necessarily on the decedent in this case, but to give you a true picture of what was really going on with this unhappy family. Outward actions and outward statements are clues to motive. And we're going to ask you that through the course of this trial, you keep the idea of motive in mind. Motive authors actions. After the state had learned, the police had learned, concerning the death of Jonathan Willette, they began to conduct a series of interviews. And what's telling through the course of these interviews is what's discussed, what outward statements are made, and how those are clues to motivations. DeVries interviewed the day of August 7th, 2023. And at the beginning of his interview, he admits that he's been drinking. He claims that upon hearing of his father's death, he'd got his drink on. But what's telling through the course of what he says and what he doesn't say, he's asked, and again, at first, and you can't blame the detectives, they're trying to do the best they can with a fairly complex situation. They're trying to get a root, a feeling of the root of the relationships between the parties. I mean, you've got Jonathan Willette, who's dead. You've got Devyn, the son that's living with the defendant now in this case, Devyn Michaels, and they're trying to grasp what's really going on. What's going on behind closed doors. They struggle in each of the interviews, both with Devyn and with Devyn, to get a feeling of what's going on. Like, what are the relationships? And they're misled time and time again by all parties. In this interview, the first of which that Devyn has, they're trying to get a handle on this idea of this marriage and the relationship. And they ask him, but you're saying that you guys are married more out of convenience, not like you guys actually love each other. His response, yeah, we don't. It's not like that. It's out of convenience. But you guys sleep in the same room? His response, no. He's asked, here, they're at the home. His response, no. Are you guys intimate at all? His response, no. Devyn is being asked questions, who, by the way, you will learn he hated. And he's lying about the relationship that he has with his wife. There was some discussion concerning phones, and I'll tell you, any more in this modern society, these are the key of most investigations. In fact, the statement said that's why Devyn was ruled out. The location data on the phone didn't track that night to the Paladera residence. That's easily solved, it's easily explained. It was left home. That's it. There are other cases that have been of some notoriety that happens. People know now. They track you on your phones. You're going to learn that Devyn knew this and the importance and the significance of this clue to this hidden secret. This was no marriage of convenience. We have out here the wedding ring that you'll see in photos that both Devyn and Devyn wore. In fact, Detective Skinner, again trying to grasp this, and this is on August 7th, is asking Devyn about the rings. And he's telling me the rings, you guys are saying this is convenience, but rings are like of significance. It shows the commitment. She plays it down, as does Devyn. This marriage of convenience is belied by the facts. You have to ask yourself, as these facts unfold, why is Devyn covering for Devyn? And why is Devyn covering for Devyn? This is no sexless union. And again, this isn't to offend, this isn't to shock, but this gives the nature of what's really going on and why that statement was so untrue. I mean, these are pictures taken from their respective phones, and you can see the timestamps. And this will be admitted to you, and you will be able to consider this in reaching the appropriate verdict in this case. This participant, this is a voicemail, 4/27/23 in this sexless, non-intimate marriage.
Will you make love to me tonight? I just want to throw you everywhere. I just want to throw kisses and touching me, kissing my body, and kissing yours. I just want some passion tonight, please.
These are photos recovered from her phone that were taken from her phone, 5/17/23. And again, they're sexual in nature. This isn't to offend. However, what detectives didn't learn is that this relationship wasn't something that was being frustrated by Jonathan moving in. This relationship had gone on for years before. See the picture of Devyn, 125, it was modified, access 1227. It goes back 7 years. Driver's license, this is Devyn, and if you look and take notice, I mean, this is some years before, he's 6'4". He's 185 pounds. He's a big guy, like his dad. His dad, 6'4", 205 pounds. We had spoken yesterday. Devyn Michaels was in the porn industry. You know, she's not on trial for morality, she's on trial for murder. She had AKAs, given her line of work. Devyn was into that. He knew that, he appreciated that, he pursued that. And this illicit relationship began before the relationship had ended with his father. It was done behind his back. Text between Devyn and Devyn. See, notice the photo, it's that same photo I showed you. 19-year-old, he's now 20. Girl, you had me mesmerized last night. You don't have to change a thing. Like that night was hands down the most sensational feeling I've ever felt since I lost my virginity. These are expressions of a passionate 20-year-old young man who's in love with a porn star. See the dates? Modified 9/3/16. That means it was looked at 7/18/26. We've got Devyn 20 here. And I'm going to show you photos to show the identification of what's going on. You've got a penis shot taken from her phone. And you see up in the corner, it's Devyn. So it's the case, the facts will show and common sense will dictate that this isn't a case about her wanting to be with Devyn and she kills Jonathan. She's been with Jonathan. What happened on August 7th of 2023 is Devyn was getting kicked out. He was no longer going to be a part of this relationship because the dad he hated, was coming in and not only taking his home, but taking his wife. Again, 2016, and this shows the length. And this isn't everything, but we're trying to just present this to you now so you have an idea. You can appreciate the motivations. Tracy, you put the biggest smile on my face. You haven't seen it already. You are the first thing on my mind in the morning, but I can't kiss you in the morning sadly. But boy, when my lips touch yours, it feels like time stops. For you, my heart races 1,000 miles and never skips a beat. When I have you in my arms, you may as well start a fire in my chest, because no one can make me feel like a melting stick of butter like you at your best. Just wanted to say you truly outdid the rest. This is 7 years before. Don't worry, at one point I'll be laying next to you, playing with your hair, scratching your back, and whispering something romantic in your ear. Again, the dates are telling. We saw pictures of Jonathan and Devyn and the kids, but if you look at the date here and the time, this is 19-year-old Devyn. Jonathan's not in the picture. Same time frame, you see. Screenshot, 8/23/16. There were a couple. And there were a couple behind Dad's back. Same photo, same time frame, modified 5/9/22. We're coming now to the present. There'd been a long-going, torrid affair, which resulted in a marriage between a son and his father's former girlfriend. This is Devyn receiving a text from Devyn. See, 11/3/21, hope it's good. I was looking, it was good, but I'm looking forward to eating something else later. Her response, Arby's, his, if that's what you call that coochie, then yeah, I guess so too. So again, it shows that this was consistent. Pictures of on Devyn's phone. You'd see modified, which means looked at 5/15/23. Capture time 5/15/23. Again, the date 5/15/23. I mean, this is clearly an intimate relationship. It's not for the kids. It's not for these perceived medical issues. Devyn is in love with Devyn. Captures on his phone. You'll hear from Devyn. We may not have a moment that we discussed yesterday where, I can't take it, I did it. Look at the motivations and why people say what they do. Devyn's 9/14/2023 grand jury testimony. And if I could just ask you a couple more questions about that. Did you and Devyn get married in the traditional sense? And this is under oath in front of a grand jury where there's jurors. It's a formal proceeding, just like a trial. His response, yes, but it was more me helping out with the girls when she couldn't find a babysitter. So I figured, well, we both kind of sat and talked about it. When she has to go to work and can't find a babysitter, I could be there. She also had a whole bunch of medical problems, and it's very expensive to keep the girls at daycare when she's sitting in the hospital, so I would normally be there to watch them. Okay, and I'm sorry to ask, was an intimate relationship that you were in with Devyn at some point. And now we start seeing, they've got the phones. Metro and the Henderson Police Department are doing their investigations. His response changes, but nonetheless, it's still not truthful. Yes, after the first year, it started to get intimate. They were married November 21st, 2021. So if we're to take Devyn at his word, they got intimate after the first year. That gets us to December of 2022. The lie, and the facts show it. Did it remain intimate up until the time of your father's death? Yes. Movement, but still, there's the clues that give way to the secrets that are being consulted, and the motive for why. In his initial interview, okay, so then you knew he was moving in, and she told you that you were going to have to move out. And this is after he's had a few drinks, probably a lot. His response, recently, yes. It was kind of a short notice, but yeah, and I mean, I know the person he is, and he's referring to his father. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll deal with it. Okay, and you were going to move out? Did he knew that you lived here, or didn't know that you lived here? His response, no. He knew I lived here. When you look and when you weigh the evidence, you have to ask two things. Why is he saying these things? Why is he denying knowledge of getting kicked out? And this hot and heavy and sexual relationship that he's having with Devyn. It changes now. 9/12/23. I didn't know that he was going to move in. He's eliminating another motive. I didn't know what they were attempting to get over here. I didn't know that they were attempting to get remarried, or not remarried, because they were never married, attempting to get married. Again, we do get a glimpse of the truth, but he's denying that he knew that his dad was moving in, and then now he's apparently saying he didn't know they were getting married too. Well, he knew his dad was getting moved in. And he knew that they were getting married. He's out. 9/14/2023, grand jury testimony. Again, this is Devyn. Okay, did there come a point in time where you learned that your father was going to move into the address where you were living with Devyn and the two girls? His response? Under oath. I'm unaware of that. Okay, did you become aware of that? After I talked to the detective? Yes. Oh, okay. So that's something you learned after your father's death? His response? Yes. Understood. Was there a discussion about you potentially moving out of the residence? His response? No, sir. Prior to your father's death? No, sir. Again, he's eliminating under oath the motive. This is a text that Devyn sent to him 4 days before this incident. See down at the bottom, 8/3/2023, liar, cheater, it goes on and on. Obviously there's passion in this non-intimate relationship if you're going to take his word for it. She sends him a text 8/3/23, I want a divorce. All your shit will be waiting outside for you. 4 days before Dad's moving in. Do not even think about coming back. Yet he tells the detective he had no idea. He had no idea there had been no discussions of him getting booted out of the house. So he's losing a wife and he's losing a home. She states, keep your alcohol. Just stay out of my life. You learn from this witness stand that Devyn had a fair amount in common with the father that he hated. He was a heavy drinker. You know, a buddy of mine was a warden in Arkansas, and he said, we eliminate women, we eliminate booze. I got nobody in my prison. 9/12/23, interview of Devier. Well, you weren't. You weren't the main suspect. You know what I mean? This is yours. It's a little different than hers. We're here, you didn't do it to clear you. His response, right. Does that make sense? It does. And while the chances of you even being there are so slim that it's just, there's no, that's not even on the radar. These are the detectives that are investigating this case. Perhaps they're ignorant of this, what was really going on, the real dynamic of this fairly seedy, buckle up relationship. Again, he's ruled out and basically not on the radar because he didn't have the phone on him when his dad was killed. He killed his father. He just left his phone at home when he did that. He's been very clear through his interviews that he worked at Hometronics. He has extensive knowledge of home security systems. And we all know that most home security systems, there's a phone element to it. It caches on your phone. You have a Ring camera, Arlo, any of those. Phone-based. And Devier has a substantial amount of technical knowledge. He also installed home entertainment systems. Then you've had speakers put in, TVs put up. You got tools. Generally a Sawzall, an electronic knife, an electronic saw to make cuts through the drywall and through 2x4s. We know how that's at least one of the two instruments that was used to remove his father's head. Again, and I've addressed this, why lie to the police on 8/7, then again on 9/12, then lie to the grand jury on 9/14. Motives, author actions, outward statements betray secrets. He's repeatedly eliminated his motivation through the course of this investigation. And she's been complicit, whether she knew or not. She's complicit in this. We have Devier covering for Devier, and we have Devyn covering for Devier. Here she is. This, and again, this is just scratching the surface, but these are photographs that are captured on Devier's phone, just to give you an idea. And there's a long list. We could be here for much longer than we're going to. He's not on any cameras. Well, yeah, that's what he does for a living. He's aware of them. These are security systems. He installs them. He's aware of the angles, what they pick up and what they do. And it goes on and on. But like I said, I won't keep you here for the rest of the afternoon, but these are all, and this is just scratching the surface of what's captured on his phone. I mean, this is sophisticated stuff, and he has sophisticated knowledge. He's taking photographs of all this as part of his work. This is his handiwork. And there's a lot of them. I would submit to you that the facts will show and common sense will dictate he knows how to stay under the radar. He lived at the home where his father was killed. It got too bad between him and his dad. He refers to that house in the Paladera residence with Yoko and her significant other and his dad and Andrea. Jonathan's prior girlfriend was there. He talked about it being a shit show, a madhouse. He lived there for more than a couple of years. He knew how to get into that house and get out of that house. I'll thumb through these. And again, this is captured on his phone. There's a couple of tools back there. Drill. This is the home that Devyn and Devier were living at prior to him getting kicked out. It's right here. It's on Porcupine. Person who lives there knows how to escape detection. Leave the front door, come around, you're on Rebecca Street. There's an even simpler route for a guy that's 6'4", 195 pounds. Right out the back door.
But they're wondering what it looks like we're 30 in 30 minutes. Or
This is
like
there.
Yeah.
The results of the autopsy, homicidal violence, there's no real cause. No one knows for sure. Could have been a shooting. These are pictures on, and there's more, but these are just to let you see what was captured on Devyn Michaels' phone. If you look at this is telling, look at the date. 8/7/23. Modified that meant it was looked at. The day his dad was killed, or the afternoon, the night following his dad being killed. We looked at that. These are swords that were found in the Porcupine residence. The police went in and searched the residence on 8/7/23. This was the residence that Devyn here was living at with Devyn. We got samurai swords on the floor. There has been a lack of investigation, and again, this isn't bad cop, good cop. No, these are good men trying to do the best they can. But they make mistakes. They've been repeatedly lied to concerning the dynamic of a fairly complicated and salacious relationship. 2 instruments at least used to decapitate Jonathan, 1 manual tool and 1 power tool. Neither recovered. Coroner examination, tool mark analysis reveals characteristics consistent with the use of 2 tools. A hand-powered knife and mechanically powered saw. Something when someone does homes installations, security systems, entertainment systems would have and know how to use. Listen, the mechanics to decapitate a human being are difficult. I mean, you've got this complex systems, you've got the musculature, you have the veins, the arteries, you've got the trachea, you've got the vertebrae, very thick ligaments and cartilage. It takes a lot. Hand-powered saw can do it. What's interesting, you will see, and it will play out, there's no blood spatter in the room consistent with use of power tool. Apparently there's an assumption that this decapitation occurred on the bed. I submit to you when you see the evidence, it's not consistent with that. You've got a power saw going in the neck there and you're cutting through it, there's going to be stuff all over the place. They didn't find anything. No cuts or markings to linens, the blanket, or the mattress. Devyn is 5'3" and weighs 130 pounds, something like 120. And again, and this will be for the state, because it's the state and the state alone that has to prove this case. Defense doesn't have to prove anything. There had been surveillance cameras that been up at the Palabura since 2021, and they were only taken down that evening. Jonathan was moving. We'll probably learn through the course of this trial who installed them. Safe to say it was probably Devyn. Ring was never subpoenaed for these videos. We've heard that perhaps it was wrong account information. The Michaels, Devyn Michaels residence, she was a homeowner. The home phone records were never subpoenaed. And see, this is significant because you can see on Devyn's phone that on the night of, and we don't know when this happened, wee hours of the morning, there had been calls from their home repeatedly. She was out late. She was with Jonathan. And at least for a time, Devyn was home with the kids. In fact, the same thing had happened the night before. She had been with Jonathan until 1 a.m. the previous day as well, when Devyn was presumably home, probably drinking. There's no blood or DNA analysis of the swords that Porcupine Rim, but again, too, we don't take issue with it. It's probably a sawzall or another hand-powered saw was used. No gun residue testing of either Devyn or Devyn. No gun residue testing of Haladera. No blood on Devyn's clothes when Yoko sees her at 1 a.m. It was actually Yoko's habit to come down from downstairs. You know, Jonathan's room, the room he was moving out of, was downstairs. And through the cell phone analysis, you're going to see that it was somewhat of a shit show at that house. It was a very cantankerous relationship between Jonathan and his mother. Don't drink, you're going to get pulled over. The autopsies results will show that fatty liver, and the guy's a heavy drinker. He had GHB in his system, he had marijuana in his system. You know, the issue about the car keys and the wallet, Social Security guard being at the house that he's moving into, given not only Devyn's concern, but Yoko's concern. For most people, that may be a big deal, significant, where this guy, getting loaded, driving regularly, got to take his keys. Cell phone, part of the bunch. He was moving into that residence, and that's where the police found these things. That isn't evidence of motive, not evidence of murder. There is no blood on Devyn's clothes when she goes through the CVS drive, through the pharmacy. Their kids were home. They were home the prior nights. They were living with Devyn. There had been a custody dispute, but that had been now resolved through the rekindling their relationship. She lied about the sex that she was having with Devyn, or Devyn lied about the sex she was having with Devyn, and Devyn lied about the sex she was having with Jonathan. There's no blood on the clothes investigators recovered from Devyn's house. There's no blood on her. And I'm going to show you the video in just a few minutes that the state had showed, the still. This is the night before he is dead and decapitated. Watch that. This is her. And look at her shoes for a minute, please. Her shorts and her shirt. He's smiling. They were adjusting their clothes. And bear with me, this is about 1 minute and 20 seconds, but we want you to watch the whole thing. There's Jonathan. And she had spent this day with him and the girls. They were going school shopping. They were going Burlington. They were moving in things. The girls were there for good. And again, what motivation does she have to get rid of him? She had the girls all summer and was going to continue to have them. She tried to register him at school the next morning, but she wasn't able to. Unbeknownst to her, he was dead. She went back the next day and tried to register him. Look at his face. They're smiling at each other. He's smiling at her. Thanks, Mike. Did you just rewind that a little bit? Thank you. Here we go. Look at his face. Thank you. Oh, we skipped something. Just a second. Can we forward this just towards the end of it where Devyn's walking out? Mm-hmm. Again, look at the shoes. And this is before this beheading that the state's saying that she did. There goes Jonathan, and there she goes. Look at her shoes. Look at her shirt. Those are the shorts. CVS 227. After she leaves the Paladura house, the house that Jonathan is moving out of to move in with her, for them to be a family and rekindle this relationship, I'm going to have you believe that she's worried about stopping and picking up a prescription for her daughters. And she does that. She goes, tells the police she went to a 24-hour pharmacy for she had to get medication for girls at school tomorrow. This is her rolling up. And see, it's 228. If you look at the shirt. Same shirt. And this is after she's presumably gone through this arduous task of beheading Jonathan. She has the wherewithal to get a prescription after supposedly beheading a man. She arrives home shortly after that, and that's picked up on the cameras. This is the home the police enter and photograph hours after this murder is alleged to have occurred. See down here on the right? See the shoes? Black shoes, white soles, middle of it. I think we focus up on one, but there's actually two there. These are the shoes that were worn when the man was beheaded hours before. There's another pair of shoes, matching those that we saw in that video from Carol Hurst at 10 o'clock the night before. You know, you don't have to like her. You don't have to like the choices that she made. It was Benjamin Franklin that said that facts are stubborn things, and the state has the facts that they have. Look at the evidence. Look at the motivations. And find her not guilty. Thank you.